Hey y'all, it is your science teacher, Ms. Green, once again. I wanted to do some more stoichiometry problems, specifically balancing chemical equations, because I know some of y'all still had some questions about it. So I have another example here for you. We have on our reaction side, we have methane plus our chlorine yields carbon chloride and hydrochloric acid. And so how I would begin this is, again, with my favorite method of setting up a T-chart. So this will help us in terms of bookkeeping and keeping track of how many of each things we have. And so let me move this up a little bit higher, utilize this space a little bit better. Okay, so first I'm just gonna go through and count how many of each atom type, okay, I have on my reactant side and on my product side. So on my reactant side, I have one carbon. So I have one carbon. On my product side, I have one carbon. Okay, so far so good. And then next, let's look at our hydrogens. So on my reactant side, I got 4 of those guys. On my product side, I only have 1. So we can see already we are not balanced, so we're gonna have to do some sort of manipulation. Last type of atom, we have chlorine, and so on our reactant side, we got 2 of those guys, and then on our product side, we have 1, but then we also have this 4 here, so we technically have a total of 5. Okay, so already things are getting a little weird. Okay, so when I go to look at this, the first thing I want to do is probably think about I guess the easiest, most simplest way to manipulate one side to match the other without complicating too much at once. So when I go to look at this, I notice right away, all right, so we have stuff happening with our chlorine, right, in which the side is higher, the side is lower, but in order to make them even at the moment, I would probably try and get an odd number to multiply times this chlorine, and so that's looking a little funky to me. So I'm going to move on to trying to figure out our hydrogens here. So I have 4 hydrogens on my left side and only 1 on my right. So let me go ahead and see what happens if I go ahead and put a 4 coefficient in front of this guy. Okay, so when I do that, it changes the number of hydrogens, okay, from 1 to a total of 4, because I'm basically multiplying whatever was there by 4 now, because I'm saying I have 4 moles, so that means we now have 4 hydrogens represented. Okay, so now we match here, but because this coefficient is in front of a compound that includes, okay, another atom type, we have to multiply that through to this guy as well. So what that means, okay, is instead of 5 chlorines on this side, we have 4 times 1 makes 4 plus the 4 we had before. Get it? Before? I'm the funniest person ever. Okay, so we have our 1 times 4 plus 4, which will give us a grand total of our 8 chlorines. Okay, so now we are getting to a place that looks a little bit more approachable. We have 1 carbon still, 1 carbon still. We have 4 hydrogens, 4 hydrogens. Now we have 2 chlorines and 8 chlorines. And so the manipulation of this is a little bit more approachable because now we can multiply it by a common multiple that's even, right? Because keep in mind, we have to use a multiple of 2 to be able to match this side now. And so hopefully this solution looks pretty clear cut and straightforward. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll take this guy and we are gonna put a 2 out front. Oh, just kidding. Math is hard. We're gonna put a 4. So now we have 4 times 2, which you guessed it, is 8. Okay, so when we do our times 4, we now have a total of 8 chlorines. Okay, and so we want to kind of go back, because if I were to ask you a question, what are the coefficients to balance this equation, you will have to include the implied ones. So even though we didn't manipulate our methane, we still want to get it? Want to put the 1 out front. And then same thing for this guy here. We want to put that 1 out front. So if I were to ask you what are the coefficients to make this balanced, you would say 1, 4, 1, 4. okay? And so let's do another quick check. So we still have the 1 carbon, beautiful. Hydrogens, we now have 4 here as well as 4 here. For our chlorines, on this side we have 4 times 2, which is our 8, and then on this side we have our chlorines, which is 4, and then the 4 times 1, which makes 4 plus 4, gives us 8. So this equation is beautifully balanced. Hopefully much like your diet right now. Hopefully it's not all composed of emergency snacks and hot Cheetos like Miss Green's diet has been. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.